one of these topics that I want to get into is Lil Durk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to bring this up because I wrote this down. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Because I'm very sad. I mean, listen, I kind of saw this. I saw this coming.
Right.
Um,
And we didn't get a chance to talk about this when it was.
So Lil Durk, he pleaded not guilty to all the charges and is scheduled to appear in court for trial on January 7th, according to the Los Angeles federal court documents, right? But he has been indicted on new charges last week, which includes conspiracy, carrying and using firearms, including a machine gun, and possession of firearms in a crime that resulted in death. Weeks after his arrest on charges of conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death. Now, according to the court documents, they say Lil Durk and his co-defendants, if they are convicted, the statutory maximum sentence is of life in a federal prison. So,
maximum.
yeah.
Okay.
So the alleged murder for hire plot was hatched as a retaliation for the 2020 murder of Lil Durk's colleague and friend, which is King Von.
Yep.
According to these court documents, they said that Lil Durk attempted to flee to the United States prior to his arrest. But that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like he was about to go on a run.
Well, his co-defendants, members of his crew, were arrested first.
And then he knew they were coming after him.
So, right. Like, I'm sure he got the heads up. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming he got the heads up before they came for him. And he was arrested, I believe, close to an airport.
Yeah.
So
in Florida.
They were saying that he was trying to flee and there were different tickets purchased. So it was almost like, this is what prosecutors allege.
Yeah.
That there were tickets, I haven't seen it.
3 different flights.
Right, 3 different flights were purchased, commercial, private, right? So they're like, oh, he's trying to flee. But there were things, according to that case, that were alleged that I just thought were
Stupid?
Yes, very stupid. Let's just say what it is, right?
Very stupid.
Like he's gonna have a tough time. I think
Beating
he's got to get some really good lawyers, right?
Well,
like
they
used the business credit cards to buy ski masks. They used the business credit cards to buy flights. I mean, it just.
He has a good lawyer. I forgot his lawyer's name, but he's pretty legit.
I'm sure he does.
He's pretty legit. I forgot his name. God, it's killing me, but he's pretty legit.
He got the money. I'm sure he better lawyer up.
But it is crazy when you read the indictment how reckless he was in this alleged murder for hire.
Right.
Like the stuff that he was like texting back and forth, you know, the emails that were sent, the flights that were booked on company credit cards. Like, I'm sorry, but Lil Durk has to be one of the dumbest criminals I've ever come across. If this indictment
if
is
it's
real.
true,
Like,
so let me say that it's alleged. If it's true, the thing that I kind of wanted to discuss was how bloggers, do we call them bloggers, streamers, were breaking down his lyrics. Almost, it's like y'all doing cop work out there. Like showing how what he said in the record would somehow match up if this were the case. Like to me, I'm like, you're building the Fed's case right there.
But see, that's what they do because everything is about, you know, rage blogging and, you know, everything's about getting people to engage in your content by any means necessary.
Right, but it's also about nowadays, and this is what artists have to be mindful of, especially rap artists, right? Because rap is supposed to be...
Because they're trying to use your lyrics in court. That's what happened with Young Thug.
And rap is a reflection of what's really going on, supposedly. You know, we can go back to the whole keep it in real mantra in hip-hop, right? Like everything you say, you're supposed to be authentic, and you're supposed to mean what you say. So if you're saying this stuff on your records, and then a prosecutor can argue, yeah, like, the audience believes this. They're saying this. They're saying that they did it. Like I remember when I think it was Fannie Willis said, if you talk about it in your records, I'm gonna use it in court.
Well, that didn't. But at the end of the day, it didn't work out for Fannie Willis' favor, even though Thug pleaded out. But he still pleaded out to no time.
Right.
So
Right.
you know, it is free speech. So I kind of feel like that's a gray area when it comes to hip hop. It's free speech, and it's like it's so many writers and so many people that cap in their rhymes.
It's an art form.
It is an art form. But if you're stupid enough to go shoot someone,
imitates art.
But if you're stupid enough to shoot someone at 220 and they can prove it, and then you
This is
rap
what I'm
about
saying.
it and say,
Then you're
hey,
rapping
I was
about it. Now they're
outside
gonna
of the
use that.
bodega on 100 and da-da-da-da-da, and I shot such and such at 220 in the head and blah, 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 blah. Then you just...
Right, but this is what I'm saying. Like, there comes a point, yes, I was saying art imitates life, imitates art, right? So it's like there's a point where you have to, and I support free speech, and I support, right, like this creative expression, but at a certain point, if things are happening that you're saying in your raps, you gotta expect that the government is paying attention and
what
watching.
you put on the internet. The internet is the FBI's internet. It is the playground for detectives, police officers, and the FBI. So anything you put in someone's DMs or you thought, you know, you could put in your stories on your Snapchat or whatever, it is all subject to get subpoenaed. It does not go away.
Right.
And the last point I want to make here, this is a very important point. You cannot be a rap superstar and a street criminal at the same time. Eventually, those two worlds will collide. You have to draw the line in the sand and say, what is it that I want to be? I want to establish myself as an artist, a global superstar, and move away from that life. Because you can't be, I'm this, I'm touring, I'm doing this, and still be a gangster, killing, shooting, and doing stupid shit. It's never going to work. I've seen this happen thousands of times over. But I've also seen artists who come from the streets, make it in a game, and change their lives around. And I love that for them. But you cannot have it both ways. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. There has to be a complete transition. And I know that takes time for folks to do that, but you got to do it.
Well, I think that's a good segue to our next topic, because we're talking about Lil Durk, a younger artist, right? Granted, I'm not sure of his exact age, but younger than I would say, the pioneers of a culture, of our culture now in hip hop. When you think about
Diddy?
Yeah, I was going to get to Diddy. I was going to mention a few, because we've heard some people like Jay-Z talk about changing his life, right? Because he talks about what he supposedly used to do in the streets.
And he's the
50
blueprint.
Cent talks about what he used to do in the streets,
and he's the
right?
blueprint.
Everyone has this street credibility that they've used to transition into their now new businessman persona, right? It's like, sometimes the rap game reminds me of the crack game. That's what they said.
A lot of it, in the beginnings of this thing called rap, a lot of this stuff was funded from street money because you could not go to the bank and get loans. It was very difficult for black and brown people, and it was very difficult for black and brown people to get signed to these labels. They wasn't signing rap music in the beginning, guys. This was not a thing. This was when Jay and all these guys came out. There was this
right, but
thing.
there was
they
a
funded
path.
a lot of that, and they created the path to success.
Right.
So
But
what I'm saying now is, to your point, the Jays, the 50s, they're the blueprints. They're the ones who have made it out, including Diddy.
I was going to say,
Including Diddy.
can we still say that right now? Can we still say that right now with
but
what
let me
we're
say
seeing
that
and what we're dealing with?
Because Diddy's choices came back to haunt him Because apparently and allegedly he did not stop. He became two different people.
Mm-hmm.
Two different people. Let me hide behind Diddy, and then I'm really being this person allegedly behind closed doors, right? And then you see now what's happening with him in the most recent update with the guards allegedly finding stuff and prosecutors filing that new motion.
Well, prosecutors say they have notes that can show that or present a strong inference that Diddy is trying to tamper with witnesses.
I don't
That's
believe
what they're
that.
saying.
I don't believe the notes thing. I saw that. I don't believe that. I think that's the prosecutors trying to
build their case,
get a media attention to ruin the jury pool.
Right.
You know, to
taint the jury pool. Yeah.
Right. I don't believe that part. Now, the part where he was allegedly putting money on inmates' commissaries so that they can make three-way calls to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that was happening,
mm-hmm.
those calls coming out of MCC, Manhattan Correctional,
mm-hmm.
is it MC or MCC? Those calls will be recorded.
Right.
They will 1,000% are recorded. And they will catch him if he did that. And if he did do that, then you're just stupid.
Is he though?
If you're making three-way calls to tamper with witnesses on such a high-profile case, that's just dumb, Kim.
Because his attorneys,
if that happened,
his attorneys are arguing that that's privileged information. So whatever notes they found, they're saying attorney-client privilege, right? And I don't know how the judge will rule, but it's if
how
they
is
can.
That attorney-client privilege? He was writing that for his attorney?
I'm not sure, but I said whatever notes he had, right? That's their argument, and if that's the case, then you can't present it in court, right? It's not gonna make it into the case.
I just don't believe Diddy is sitting in his jail, writing notes about people he paid off and all.
No, I don't think that's. I don't know crazy. What they have though, because they didn't specify exactly what they had.
They said that
notes.
He was writing notes in prison and that.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot of
I believe
speculation.
I believe that's BS.
And I do believe both sides, both prosecutors, both his attorneys, are playing with the media.
Yeah.
I think that they're doing that because the court of public opinion is oftentimes even more important than when you're in court, especially when you're trying to taint the jury pool, because you can't tell me that he's going to get a jury that hasn't seen all this stuff.
Right,
everyone
especially
has seen
the video of Cassie that went viral and millions of people watched it. That's tainting the jury pool.
Who's going to get on the jury that hasn't seen
that? 1-800 lawsuit claim that lawyer did out of Texas.
And now they filed a suit against that lawyer.
Right.
They did. Yeah, so there's all these lawsuits all over the place.
It's tainting the jury pool. How is he expected to get a fair trial?